Welcome to Wrasslin Raw! All right, you're listening to Wrasslin Raw, the podcast that takes you back to when Raw became war and Attitude ruled. Thank you for joining us. You're here with Ryan Arico.
Jesus, take me home.
Joe Giammatteo.
Well, how wide must your butthole be then?
I'm the one and only Jason Bartlett, and we're going to examine WWE history one episode of Raw is War at a time. In this episode of Wrasslin Raw, we're going to be talking about the Raw that aired on November 30th, 1998. This Raw was recorded at the Baltimore Arena in Baltimore, Maryland, and features Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler on commentary. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Ready.
And fuck the Ravens.
Oh, not good for our huge Baltimore fan base.
I think they should expect it from a Pittsburgh Steeler fan.
I think this might have been before Ray Lewis murdered somebody.
Before, because he was there.
Yeah.
Sharpening his knife.
I'm sure this episode was some kind of alibi. All right, then, let's get into it. This episode started with, I don't feel. Undertaker hit him in the head with a shovel.
Bong, 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 bong.
And a whole bunch of phrases repeated ad nauseum, complete with footage of the attempted murder and torture of an American citizen. Wars have been started for less. We also got a shot of the Undertaker and Paul Bearer huddled up backstage before moving through to the sweeping shot of the arena. A sea of signs in the crowd as this episode immediately shit the bed. The Headbangers and ICP coming out, Violent J doing his best Road Dogg impersonation and trying to get the crowd hyped up. The bed shitting continued as we got replays of last week's backstab of the oddities by ICP. On a more interesting note, though, we got a shot of Austin arriving to the arena with a shovel in his hand. You could tell that was on the Titantron because the crowd actually started making noise instead of sitting there silently for ICP. And I started to become erect at the suggestion that Austin was taking that shovel to the ring, and that erection climaxed at stunners to everyone.
Beautiful.
The only way that could have been better is if we got some baseball swings to the dome from that shovel to everyone, but that didn't come.
Not yet.
Austin grabbed a mic and got to business. I love the line that before the night is over, the Undertaker is going to be wearing the shovel upside the head. And then Austin proceeded to practice his swing there in the ring a couple times before heading on out. Commentary laid out the card for us tonight, including giving us scenes of D'Lo Brown assisting Mark Henry getting dressed for his date with Chyna, but we quickly went to a backstage view of Austin assaulting referee Jimmy Corderas, and just as quickly then cut to commercial before coming back to a view of Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker on the cover of TV Guide. That took me back. I actually forgot that TV Guide existed, and then I forgot again that TV Guide died, and it was just this whole nostalgia thing going on in my head for that. But then we quickly, again, went to Austin, prowling through the backstage areas with the shovel, even running into Stephanie McMahon before this segment came to an end. She was not named there. It was just a person that he walked past and interacted with briefly. So, guys, this was a rapid-fire intro. We're used to the opening segment being worked by Vince and the Stooges to lay out the evening, but here, just as effectively, we've got Stone Cold giving us the plan for the evening. We've got the Headbangers and ICP getting jobbed out right at the top of the program, never to be seen again. Or at least tonight.
Hopefully never.
And we got a view of who I believe to be one of the hottest women in wrestling, Stephanie McMahon, for the first time ever. Joe, what'd you think of how this episode started?
Well, thank goodness Austin interrupted this. Otherwise, I would have flipped over to Nitro for sure.
And stayed.
And yeah, he's starting the show by literally throwing the trash out of the ring. So you can't get any better than this. This was a great start to the show. JR saying, "Feel the magic of this man," made me laugh really fucking hard. It was a short promo. It's not a 20-minute talking segment like I usually like to see to start these shows. I would otherwise be worried about that, but I absolutely loved seeing Austin just throw the trash out of the ring here, being headbangers at ICP. And then, yeah, I'm excited to see how this date goes for Mark Henry, and also seeing Stephanie McMahon was pretty exciting. Like you said, no mention of her name, but this is the first time that we have seen her on TV, I think. So that is pretty exciting. Gets you excited for the future. We're headed into 1999, and there's going to be a lot of McMahon family shenanigans in 1999.
This night started off and it got a loud groan out of me with the Headbangers and ICP coming down to undoubtedly face the Oddities.
Yeah.
Had to be what this piece of shit match was going to be, but our Lord and Savior, Austin, comes down and saves us from a fucking night of misery by cleaning, like you said, Joe, taking the fucking trash out, stunners for everyone, and they're just gone. Like, there's no talk that there's even a thought that this match is going to happen now. It's just Stone Cold doing some warm-up swings, short promo, but all of it was great, mostly because he stopped us from seeing a Headbangers Oddities match. So you can't ask for anything better than that. Mark Henry, yeah, he's all dressed up. He's looking like sexual chocolate here tonight in that suit as he gets ready for Chyna's date, so that's exciting. TV Guide, that was definitely a blast from the past. I loved the quote from TV Guide, "Young viewers have abandoning the broadcast networks for WWF Raw."
Yeah.
That's great to hear. And then Stephanie McMahon, another great thing. We know she's going to play a role in this whole Undertaker ministry thing coming up as well at some point. So very much looking forward to her playing a bigger role here. Well, and actually being mentioned by name.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to her many wardrobe choices throughout 1999. All right. Well, guys, now that we've got the evening laid out for us, let's go into our first match of the night. The New Age Outlaws defeat The Brood. This is Edge and Gangrel with Christian at the outside by disqualification in 2 minutes and 57 seconds to retain the WWF Tag Team Championship. First thought is that we're back to having the Tag Team Championship as a worthless prop. And my second thought was wondering whether or not this match and its placement on the card meant that the downward trend for the Outlaws was going to continue. On Heat last night, I guess, the corporation had attempted to recruit the Outlaws, and we got some footage of that. Made me think of what you said last week, Joe, about the NWO and too many members. We know this is going to be a nothing burger, but at the time we wouldn't have, and that would have been a very valid concern. The match got jump-started, and I have to say I was immediately impressed with Gangrel. He started this with some amazing intensity and speed. The corporation showed up to the top of the entryway to watch, drawing a lot of crowd noise there. And the match ended quickly after a lot of hard action when Christian came into the ring to help Gangrel, but the Bossman and Shamrock immediately hit the ring to rescue the Outlaws. The corporation escorted the Outlaws up the ramp as that beatdown continued, but we quickly moved away from it, so I'll end it here. I was very happy to see that energy from Gangrel in this, especially after my recent comments about the Brood. If they can approach everything with this level of skill and intensity, I think I can keep it up for them. But nothing here really refreshed me on the Outlaws. How many times are they going to use outlaw loyalty to try to swerve us? I know before it was always like which one of them is going to piss the other off and break up the group, but now it's, are the Outlaws going to leave DX and join the corporation? There has to be a better way to use the Outlaws. Joe, what'd you think of the opening match here?
Well, I have mixed feelings about both of these teams right now. With the Outlaws, I kind of like that they're teasing this corporation thing with them, mainly because the Outlaws just need freshened up in some way. And if that's how we're going to do it, that's okay. They've been doing that the past couple weeks now, so we'll see where that goes. And as far as the Brood goes, they've just been underwhelming right now. It's been a little bit over a month now at this point. I know sometimes it takes a little bit of time. I know it took some time for the New Age Outlaws to really catch on with the crowds. But if I'm WWF creative right now, I'm thinking of ways to make these guys more exciting. As far as the Brood goes, I have all three of them come through that fire. Like, it's just Gangrel right now. I think they're going to eventually all three come through the fire when they enter, but
that's what I remember, is them all three being in the fire.
Yeah, obviously probably a budget choice, but like spend some money.
They already bought that small platform.
Yeah, spend some money and get all three of them coming through that. Also, I hate this mysterious red liquid talk that they keep doing. Like, are they not allowed to just say that it's blood?
I was wondering the same thing. Is it a USA thing?
It must be, I guess, because it's
clearly blood, right?
Yeah.
They're supposed to be vampires. I mean,
like we know that JR and the King are not stupid people. Like we know that they know what that is. So it's just, I don't know, it's getting a little exhausting hearing them try to sell that in that way. So I don't know. We're just at a point right now where neither of these teams are that exciting to me.
I agree with that 100%, although I thought the match itself was solid enough. All of the wrestlers involved here are pretty skilled outside of the Road Dogg. But outside of that, pretty good ring workers. I really don't understand why JR continues to say every time we see the Brood that we don't understand their relationship, especially when he followed that up with other than Christian and Edge being brothers.
Yeah.
And I don't know, to me, that seems like a pretty good justification to work together, right? They're fucking brothers. There you go. There's the relationship explained. So I don't know why he keeps on saying that. Edge, I think, continues to look better and better every time we see him in the ring. I thought he looked pretty good here. He pulled off some high flying moves that were had to catch the audience's attention, because it's hard not to when you have a guy flying around from the top rope. The whole corporation angle with the Outlaws, on your side, Joe, I agree, Bartlett, that they've done the whole loyalty thing with them quite a bit, but as you stated, Joe, they need to do something with the Outlaws, because right now there's just nothing exciting. And the question I have is, you brought up in the news, it seems like over a month ago, that the Hardy Boys were starting on Heat. Mm-hmm. So when are we going to get them involved here? I feel like that could inject some life into this tag team situation, but hopefully that's soon. At the end, when the Big Bossman and Shamrock came out, and pretty much it was just mayhem in the ring at that point. There were a bunch of different people, but I laughed when the crowd decided that they were just going to chant Shamrock sucks out of it all. They really seem to hate Shamrock now, and it happened at the turn of a hat that they just turned on Shamrock. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I noticed that too. It happened a couple times throughout the night. The Shamrock sucks chant. It was one of the loudest chants of the entire night.
Yeah.
But I like something you said, Joe, about it must be exhausting trying to sell this supernatural stuff, because there's quite a bit of it going on, or at least quite a bit of it that stretches believability, and not just in this, but many of the things that go on it must be exhausting just trying to sell that, because selling two badasses fighting is a hell of a lot easier than selling the potential embalming of a human being on live television, I think.
Embalming?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch!
After that, we went back to Austin backstage. He was still searching for the Undertaker. Austin was sticking his head into some coolers back in the section where they keep the beer, and ended up getting shoved into one, and the door locked behind him by the Undertaker and Paul Bearer.
I thought for a second that was Jack Torrance being thrown in there.
You know what needs to be done, Mr. Torrance.
Mr. Torrance.
And since they were hell-bent on murdering him last week, I thought that maybe they had some elaborate scheme set up to then flood the cooler with carbon dioxide from one of the many tanks laying around there with the kegs, but instead they are apparently no longer interested in murdering him, with Paul insisting that they have bigger fish to fry as we moved on. We got a N64 Glover rewind to earlier tonight when Austin gave a stunner to four people that deserved a lot worse, and then we went to D'Lo and Mark Henry. D'Lo was helping Mark with a final fit check, and I popped when Mark asked D'Lo to come along with him on his date with Chyna. D'Lo was understandably very skeptical of that strategy, but eventually agreed for a few reasons that he mentioned there, and I do look forward to seeing how that plays out over the evening. But then we went to the arena, where the tolling of the bell indicated the arrival of the Undertaker, and I couldn't imagine what bigger fish were here in an empty ring But that fish was indeed bigger as Taker started to address Kane, highlighting Kane and Austin as the two things that stand in the way of the ministry's growing control. Taker called out Kane, and Kane obliged. A fight got going there in the ring between the two of them, and it took Taker all of 10 seconds to put down the big red monster just laying there.
Jobber. Big red jobber.
Yep. And while that was happening, the Undertaker called in the White Coats, with the attempt being made to get Kane committed to some kind of asylum. The White Coats chased
Medical
Kane.
facility.
Yes. Chased Kane out of the ring and through the crowd. But then we quickly went back to Mark Henry and D'Lo. They were leaving their hotel to climb into a limousine. And D'Lo again objected to coming along, saying he wasn't even dressed for it. Mark Henry then pulled a suit jacket out of the limo. Then he pulled out a pair of sharp sunglasses. And finally, a chauffeur's hat. And I popped. D'Lo was pissed. Mark was trying to get more from D'Lo, so I popped again when D'Lo said, "Get in the damn car now." We broke for commercial and came back.
He's a good friend.
He is. Came back to Mark Henry waiting for Chyna in the lobby. She showed up in jeans and a leather vest and jacket, and she immediately called out D'Lo as the chauffeur, and I popped one last time for that part of the segment. Back in the ring, some of the Baltimore Ravens were present there as X-Pac came out to the ring. X-Pac called out Shawn Michaels for an ass beating, and Shawn came out. Commentary noted the quality of Shawn's suit, but I didn't think it looked that good on him. It looked like it wasn't fit right, and honestly, I thought it was maybe one of Rick Rude's suits from back whenever he was with DX. It looked just like it.
Fabric looked like it was terry cloth or something.
Yeah, I thought it was maybe like some kind of light corduroy or something. Like it had lines in it. I don't know. Shawn and X-Pac went back and forth, with Shawn ultimately reminding everyone that he's not a wrestler, and if X-Pac lays hands on him, he'll be fired. But Shawn went one step further and added a match to the card. X-Pac will be defending his European title against Ken Shamrock later on tonight. Back in the limousine, D'Lo was pulling up to a restaurant and letting Mark and Chyna out of the limo. Chyna had pulled the price tag off of the bouquet of flowers and noted for us that they cost $1.99 before Mark led her into the restaurant. And back in the arena, we got a view of an open beer cooler with commentary noting that Austin had escaped, and that's where this girthy segment ended. This was a full 17 minutes of straight storytelling, boys, with a lot of moving back and forth, so I just want to quickly sum up my thoughts on this huge segment. I'm surprised at the 180 from The Undertaker, but I'd much rather have the White Coats after Kane than the whole satanic embalming thing last week. I really liked Shawn Michaels here with X-Pac. Shawn was great on the mic, and I love that he set up a match with stakes to it. That's good shit, pal. And finally, I continue to just fucking love Mark Henry, D'Lo, Chyna, this whole story. It's become the highlight of my watching every week so far. So, Ryan, there's a lot going on here. What did you have on all of it?
Yeah, I guess I'll start with The Undertaker and Paul Bearer calling out Kane. This was interesting. I was shocked, but I guess I shouldn't have been, about how quickly that tombstone got thrown onto Kane. I loved the Mental Institute guys in the white coats coming out. I thought that was a nice twist. They're going to try and drag him away to the nut house. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And then maybe my favorite part of the night is when D'Lo realizes that Mark wants him to be the chauffeur. It was just so fucking perfect. The way he reacted and the get in the damn car. Yeah, all right, I'll fucking do this, you asshole. That was great. X-Pac and Shawn, I thought they both did a good job here. This was a good little filler segment of X-Pac explaining why he's all pissed off at Shawn's betrayal last week. And we learn, no, Shawn isn't going to be coming to blows with anyone because he is not a sanctioned wrestler, I think is the way he put it. He's the commissioner. So sets up a match with Shamrock, which that sounds like a damn good match to me, X-Pac and Shamrock. And then Chyna pointing out the $1.99 on the roses. I'm with you, Bartlett. This Mark Henry story tonight is really leading up to be the best thing of the night. It's really interesting. And I think everyone involved's doing a good job with it, especially Mark. Mark's knocking it out of the park with how he is acting here. This is just straight up acting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go back and forth with Kane so much, mostly landing on the fact that he's a jobber. But here, I think that it's good use of Kane in this situation, having him in a battle with The Undertaker. We all hated the cahoots angle that they were doing. I think that this is better for him, where he has The Undertaker and Paul Bearer kind of chasing after him.
I would say All Night was better for him.
Yeah. Well, there's something a little bit later that I didn't love, and we'll get into that later. But this part of the show I liked for Kane and his character. I thought it was good for his character, having these white coats come after him, and he's getting away. It's putting him over as a babyface, and it's working, because who would have thought that this guy who was killing cable pullers on live television would
burning people alive,
throwing gas on people, and is now a babyface? Like, who would have thought that? So that's good to see. X-Pac and Shawn Michaels, I really liked that segment. As you said, Bartlett, Shawn Michaels put some stakes on this, and it's a huge fuck you to X-Pac. Like, X-Pac calls him out, and Shawn's like, okay, well, you're going to defend your shitty European title, and Ken's not going to defend his Intercontinental title. So that was just a good mic drop moment for Shawn Michaels as a authority figure here.
And he gave him a Rocky 5, touch me and I sue, basically.
Yes, but he added some sizzle to that steak, and he's done that the last couple of weeks, so we like seeing that. And Mark Henry and Chyna and D'Lo, this is just great. It's really showing just the likable personality of Mark Henry, I think, is showing here. He's just being himself. And he's funny. He's just naturally funny. Him and D'Lo together, and even those two with Chyna. I think they got a little bit more out of Chyna here too, with her personality, which is funny to see. And she looks like she's barely trying here, but she looks good with her Jordache jeans and the crop top and everything. So
reconstructed face.
Yeah, but really great segments from all three of them, really.
Yeah, 100% agreed with that. Besides her brand new chiseled good looks, it's nice to see a little more, I don't want to say personality, because she was really trying to hold back throughout all of this, but the little ways that she gives in, and just as it progresses through the night, I agree. Like, we're getting a lot more out of Chyna in this than we have in months before. This is the most character development for Chyna since she started speaking Spanish to Los Boricuas, I think.
Well, and I think that really is it. It wasn't her fault. It was just what they wanted out of her was to sit there and say nothing, where now we're getting a little bit more of her personality.
Yeah, she's breaking character a little bit now.
Yeah,
right.
And to be clear, crossing her arms and being the strong silent type worked really well for her. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
No doubt.
It's just this is an added dimension that I'm enjoying. Well, let's switch to things that might not be so enjoyable. Our next match. Goldust defeats Jeff Jarrett with Deborah by disqualification in 3 minutes and 27 seconds. After some footage from 3 weeks ago showing Jeff and Goldust's growing feud, quote-unquote, commentary informed us that Owen Hart would be joining commentary for this match, because what better way to highlight Jeff Jarrett and Goldust than by talking about the Blue Blazer? The match progressed, things looked fine, but just as Goldust was setting Jarrett up to get Jarrett's testicles kicked into the nosebleed seats, Deborah entered the ring to distract Goldust. That then triggered Owen Hart to enter the ring and attack Goldust. Things continued to go downhill as the Blue Blazer then entered the ring and attacked Owen Hart, but the Blazer removed his mask. It was Steve Blackman this time, and Steve continued to attack Owen as officials entered the ring to pull them apart, and then we quickly moved away from this segment. The most I can say about this match is that it was there. Ryan, what'd you have on it?
It certainly happened. We got another match with Goldust and someone else's whose career is circling the drain. Owen comes down on commentary, and this basically became a call-in match, as we didn't pay attention at all to the match. We just talked to Owen about the Blue Blazer and his retirement up until Owen decides to get involved. Then we do finally focus on the match for a second. Blue Blazer comes out, and it's Steve Blackman. I guess it gave Blackman something to do. I'm just trying to look for a silver lining here, but this was all pretty boring. You could tell the crowd didn't give two fucks about it. This was a concession stand match or a bathroom break, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, definitely. This is not good. And there's likable people involved, but just not good. You have Goldust, Owen Hart, Deborah, even Jeff Jarrett has potential to be better, but this is all just not good. Owen doing this whole I'm retired gimmick again has been done before, and it's not interesting. Deborah coming in to stop the Shattered Dreams. She's just standing there. The ref seemingly doesn't give a shit about her just standing there. Normally, wouldn't a referee just call the match because she's just in the ring, standing there doing nothing?
Usually they have to make contact before they'll call it.
At least try to get her out of the ring.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's all just a setup anyway for this stupid Steve Blackman attacking while in the Blue Blazer costume. It's all so stupid. And it's sad to see the end of Owen Hart's life and career kind of end this way, especially when, someone like Owen Hart, who is so talented skill-wise, and hearing the stories about what a creative ribber Owen Hart was in the back, like you'd think that somebody would have something more creative for him. And we just haven't had it at all since his brother left.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, like, is that really what it came down to? Is that McMahon put him in the doghouse because he's Bret Hart's brother?
Possibly.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's just one of those things. It's like what could have been with someone who was just so creative and skilled.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, let's keep it going. Get the hell away from that. Backstage, Austin was back on the hunt for The Undertaker, and in split screen, The Undertaker was on the hunt for Kane with the White Coats. Then it was the medieval slam of the week. That was last week on Raw when Al Snow hit Shamrock with head to give Mankind the win in their match, but then we quickly went into our next match. The Big Bossman, with Shawn Michaels, defeats Mankind in a ladder match in 6 minutes and 21 seconds to win the WWF Hardcore Championship. The Job Squad escorted Mankind out to the ring. Shawn Michaels ejected them immediately, presumably because of Bob Holly's mullet. The only reason I could think of to get rid of those guys.
They just couldn't take it.
Yeah. Shawn then joined commentary. And I'm a fan of both of these guys, so after the marathon of storytelling segments that we went through, I was looking forward to just sitting back and enjoying a match. Shawn was doing pretty good on commentary for the most part. There were a few moments where he got to be a little much, but that's to be expected with the Heartbreak Kid. Eventually, The Rock came out to shove Mankind off of the ladder and set up the ladder for the Bossman. The Rock's legs looked freshly waxed because they were just glistening in comparison to everything else in the ring.
I noticed he wasn't wearing, he normally has like knee pads on, and he wasn't wearing this, so it just like stood out.
Yeah.
It looked like he ran out there with a shirt and his underwear on, is what it looked like.
Every time my wife sees that when I'm watching wrestling, she always calls it the toddler look because they come out like they just a t-shirt and underwear.
Yeah.
The Bossman did end up getting up the ladder, and we have a new hardcore champion. Shawn joined in on a beatdown of Mankind. He made sure to dramatically hold his back in pain with the 2 kicks that he laid in on Mick. And that's where this ended. So overall, I liked this match. I had realistic expectations as to what Mankind and the Bossman could do with a ladder, and for the most part, I wasn't disappointed. I continue to like Shawn as commissioner, and I like that we have a title change on Raw. So, Joe, what'd you have on this match?
Yeah, I like everything about this, basically, for the same reasons you mentioned. Mankind losing a title, Mankind is one of those guys, if he loses a title, it's not really going to hurt him because he's going to be over with the fans no matter what, because he's just a maniac. And this match was another good example of that. I thought the match was really good. The Socko spot made me a little bit flaccid,
Yeah.
But outside of that, this was a good match that the crowd was really into, and Mankind is continuing to get screwed by the corporation. And I think that is, once again, I think that's a good thing. It's just going to help build him up as a babyface more and more every week.
I agree with both of you. I thought this was a very good match. I do think that the fact that it was a ladder match kind of lends to what we were talking about last week, where they really haven't hammered out the hardcore rules of it yet, because it just seemed a little bit weird that it's a ladder match on top of being a hardcore match, a double gimmick basically on this. So that was a little bit odd, but whatever. Both guys used the ladder to pretty good advantage here. I liked Michaels out there with his Olympic style point paper that he was putting up for Mankind's moves, -6 and things like that. But I thought that was pretty funny. I was a little bit shocked, though, that Mankind lost the hardcore belt so quick.
Yeah.
I thought he held on to it a little bit longer. I'm not really complaining because, again, I agree with you guys. I thought this match worked on pretty much all levels, even with The Rock coming out and cheating, as we've said before. Stuff like this just helps push Mick into that bigger baby face. The more he gets screwed, the more the audience loves him. So I thought this was probably one of the best things of the night.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. And I also agree about Mick losing the belt. He doesn't really need it.
Right, and that's what it came down to. I thought he held on to this hardcore belt longer than a few weeks, though.
Yeah. Well, this is going to give him something to chase, too, and I like that for Mick. But let's keep it going to the parking garage. Out there, the Undertaker and Paul Bearer were still searching for Kane and found him in some back room where they ended up brawling. And I really liked this.
Looked like a bingo hall.
Yeah. Yeah, there were all kinds of weird pictures on the walls and shit. I really liked this. I decided that I don't really care as much about matches for these two. I just want to see them fight. I don't care where or how.
Well, their matches are boring. This isn't.
Yeah. Taker knocked out Kane and then proceeded to put him in a body bag while he sent Paul to fetch the orderlies. But just then, Austin snuck up behind the Undertaker and broke the head off the shovel across the Undertaker's face. And we quickly moved along from there. So I just wanted to quickly check in with you guys on this one, because we've all commented in the past about how many times we're going to see Kane versus the Undertaker. And we did address this to a certain extent already, but like for whatever reason, not just the orderlies, I don't think, but I'm really enjoying this. Was it as simple as Kane switching from hunter to hunted all along? Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think that it's definitely making me more interested in the Kane character now that there's something working for him, which is, oddly enough, is becoming a babyface at this point. Yeah. But yeah, seeing Austin break the shovel over Undertaker's face was hilarious. Just full baseball swing. And then his reaction after, Austin was looking over top of him like, oh my God, did I just kill this man?
I thought this worked. I enjoyed the stuff from last week as well, but I think this is even better, having the Undertaker and Kane exchange blows in this dark bingo hall. And then this ending was great. The moment Paul Bearer leaves, Stone Cold comes in through the back door and just wraps that fucking shovel around the Undertaker's head and leaves his lifeless body there. So someone's finally got one up on the Undertaker. The crowd loves it, and I think it just leads for a exciting night. I want to see what's going to happen next now.
Well, what's going to happen next is our next match. Dwayne Gill defeats Mark Marrow by pinfall in 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Mark
That's
started this
light heavyweight champion, Dwayne Gill.
That's right.
That's
to
right.
retain.
To retain the light. I completely forgot that the championship was even
it's
a part
easy
of
enough.
this.
That's
Jeez.
easy enough.
So Mark started this off by getting in the ring on the microphone, noted for us that Dwayne Gill is from Baltimore, and then said, I quote, "If I can't beat that jobber, then this is the last time you're going to see Marvelous Mark Marrow," and I popped.
Yes. The best steaks, the best sizzle to any steak ever.
I told you that you'd love Dwayne Gill.
Yeah.
Dwayne Gill was accompanied by the kids' Pee-wee football team that he coaches down to the ring.
What a baby face.
And
Baltimore's favorite.
Yes.
In a surprise, to me at least, just as Mero was climbing the ropes to finish things off, the Blue Meanie appeared to knock Mero from the top rope, giving Gill the opportunity for the pin and the win. Commentary stated that the Meanie had showed up on Heat last night and then emphasized that Dwayne Gill had officially retired Mark Mero.
Yes.
So,
highlight.
Yep.
Ryan, I had to go to you first for this. How happy were you to learn that Dwayne Gill officially has retired Mark Mero?
One of the happiest nights of my life. Not only did Dwayne Gill retain the light heavyweight champion, he retired one of our most hated, at least for a while, then most sad sack case wrestler out there with Mark Mero and his continued humiliation by his wife. What started off with Mark beating the balls off Gill up until the Blue Meanie interrupted, and then Mark Mero got sent the fuck home. Joe, I don't know if you have an update for us later in the news if this is official.
I don't. No, I don't.
Because I can't remember if he actually is completely gone, but that's the way they made it sound, and God, do I fucking hope so. And to be honest, I assume he probably hopes so too. They have just been absolutely doing nothing with him except, hey, go take another dick kick by your wife out there. So I think he's probably ready to move on too, but Lord, I hope so.
Yeah, he's taking dick kicks from all the women now.
Yeah.
Left and right.
Yeah. Thank you, Blue Meanie. You came out of nowhere and saved us all because you helped Dwayne Gill defeat Mark Mero and retire his ass, his guaranteed contract ass. Remember when he came in, he was like, him and Mark Henry were like the first guys that got guaranteed money from WWF. And yeah, this guy appears to be done now with the WWF. So that's crazy, but it's not surprising. And yeah, Dwayne Gill is a man of the people.
The true people's champ.
Yes.
Yeah, the true people's champ and the Blue Meanie, not the hero that we wanted, but the hero that we needed all along.
The Blue Meanie surprises me because, like, you would think that Vince would think that the Blue Meanie is just so hideous, I don't want him on my television show.
This sloppy piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But here he is.
Not to mention how sloppy he is, but his outfit that accentuates the fucking gut. Like,
I mean, I guess
the roles.
We did have the Bastion Booger a few years ago, so
that's
it's
true.
very similar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, good call. Vince does have a very macabre sense of humor with some specific thing.
As long as they're humiliating themselves.
He's disgusting.
Yeah. Good Lord. All right. Well, I look forward to many good things out of the Meanie in the future. I'm sure he'll be an impactful player in the WWF in the next 2 years.
Surely. Probably make a run at the title.
Yeah. And it sucks, too, because I always thought the Meanie was funny in ECW, but he just... Well, anyway. There's plenty of time for ECW talent to get wasted in the WWF. All right. We'll keep it going to backstage. Paul Bearer had found the orderlies and were taking them back to where Paul had last seen Kane. And we then went to Mark Henry with Chyna. He was there at a table by a fireplace with a bottle of red and reciting poetry, while a Jim Johnston Marvin Gaye knockoff played way too loudly in the background. Chyna was going to try to hit that bottle hard, but Mark talked her out of it and into going dancing after the meal. And I loved it. I fucking loved this.
Bust a move.
This was a great little slice of life between the two of them. But we quickly moved into our next match. Ken Shamrock with Shawn Michaels defeats X-Pac by disqualification in 4 minutes and 41 seconds, with X-Pac retaining the European Championship as a result. Shawn joined commentary again as Shamrock jump-started the match. We went to a view of the corporation trying to recruit the Outlaws, and then back to the ring where Shamrock was dominating. I liked the dueling spinning heel kicks with X-Pac coming out on top there, and Shawn ended up distracting the referee so that the Bossman could sneak in and assist Shamrock, but that drew in Triple H to save X-Pac. That's what drew the disqualification, and the crowd loved it. Shawn Michaels did not, and we got replays of it all. I loved the finish to this. It's great to have Triple H back, and I never thought I'd really say that because he was so, I don't know, lukewarm before he left for his injury. It wasn't bad. He wasn't on the outs with me or anything like that, but it's just, it feels relieving to have him back. Maybe we can get DX back on track, and especially have him back with Shawn in the mix now. So I'm interested in where we're going to go from here. Joe, what'd you have on it?
Yeah, I think this looked like it was moving in a direction where creative is obviously trying to get all of the gold into the corporation. I'm not sure I love that idea, but that seems to be the direction that they're headed, other than Dwayne Gill's gold, of course, because that's not going anywhere.
Untouchable.
Yeah.
Untouchable.
Yeah, and JR officially named the X Factor in this match, I noticed, so that was cool to hear. And yeah, a huge return for Helmsley here. I think that been a couple months now since we've seen him, so he's been on the mend, and he's obviously still recovering because he was hobbling around a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He had some baggy jeans on that were covering a huge knee brace that you could see underneath, so, he's not gonna, it doesn't look like he's gonna be back in the ring anytime soon, but I guess to see him as an on-screen character and kind of throw him into the mix now that, like you said, now that Shawn Michaels is back, that could get pretty interesting for some storytelling purposes.
Yeah, I thought this was a pretty entertaining match. Even though Shamrock's juiced up steroid fucking freak, he's a bit of a smaller stature than The Rock, so it's a little bit more believable having a competitive match against X-Pac. And yeah, they both did a great job here. And the ending was fantastic. Triple H came out here, he saved the day, and DX is in desperate need of something. And hopefully Triple H could be that spark that they need, because we've been talking about it now for a little bit that DX is just spinning their wheels. So hopefully this could bring them back to life and we could stop talking shit on DX.
Yeah. So backstage again, this was a quick moving episode, a lot of moving between different stories. Backstage, Paul Bearer had led the orderlies to that body bag, and Paul made sure to check inside and see Kane's mask on the body inside before they strapped the bag to a gurney and wheeled him on out. We went back to the restaurants, though. Mark had gotten Chyna out on the dance floor and was trying to woo her with some moves. It was slowly working, too. If you saw Chyna's face, she was slowly getting into it. She danced with him a little
smiles
bit there.
got cracked.
Yeah, it was working. How could you not fall in love with Mark Henry watching this? Mark said he had to go powder his nose, and he left to the restroom. And then, of course, 3 guys showed up and started hitting on Chyna. She told them to get lost. One of them called her a bitch, and the place erupted. Chyna punched that guy in the face. Mark showed up and then beat the piss out of the remaining 2. And a very, very touching scene. The couple that fights together stays together. And from there, we quickly got into our next match. Val Venus with the Godfather defeats Tiger Ali Singh with Babu by disqualification in 2 minutes and 59 seconds. The status update on the quality of the hose is that these ones weren't too bad.
Oh, yeah.
I think the brunette was the clear winner in this group tonight, but
I shit talk Baltimore, but their ladies of the night weren't too bad.
Yeah. And I'm really coming to enjoy this weekly hose status update because he's got a new set for every town that he's in, and it's interesting. The quality of the hose tells you something about the town that they're in, I feel. And you're right. That definitely says something about the nightlife in Baltimore. Tiger got jobbed out at the start. He was already in the ring and didn't get an entrance.
As well.
Well, yeah, my next note, the babyface Val Venus made sure to insinuate that he had cucked Tiger Ali Singh with Tiger's girlfriend last night. So it's good to see that that's still a thing with him.
A good babyface storyline.
Yeah. The match was fine up through the point where the hose started groping Babu. Then Jackie and Terry came down, and goddamn, they looked fucking amazing here. Great wardrobe choices for them. Jackie was the distraction as Terry got in the ring and punched Val Venus in the dick with the low blow. That's what drew the DQ ending. But then the Acolytes showed up. They were already named, so we must have missed their debut on Heat or something. And they proceeded to take apart Tiger and Babu. The Jackal was there overseeing it. and we quickly moved on. So obviously everybody here likes the ladies, and everyone here likes to see serial cuckers get punched in the dick. That won't stop being entertaining. But guys, I think the real story here is the debut, for us at least, of the Acolytes, and the unfortunate inclusion of the Jackal as part of that debut. Ryan, what'd you have on this match and its aftermath?
Well, I'm going to start with some of the stuff that happened before the match. I enjoyed the little quick Paul Bearer coming in to collect Kane with the white coats, because us, the audience, we know that that's most likely the Undertaker, even though he checked and there was a Kane mask after Stone Cold exploded that shovel on his face. So I thought that was cool. I also continue to enjoy the Mark Henry Chyna updates. This was a really good one where they fought together, as you said, coming to blows with some douchebags in this bar, three guys, so that was good to see. The match, like has been anyone involved with a Terry Reynolds, Jacqueline storyline, the match didn't matter. This was about the two ladies coming down and I guess starting their own faction, as we talked about. But none of that really mattered, because what really took the show was the Acolytes. Farouk and Bradshaw finally being named as the Acolytes stole the show for me for sure. But one thing I did not remember and almost ruined it is that the Jackal had absolutely anything to do with the Acolytes. That was disappointing. But as we know, that's not gonna stick around. Like his presence with any other tag team he's been with, he's going to get kicked out very shortly. But Acolytes are here and I'm thrilled.
Yeah, the two things that happened before the match are two of the best things I've seen in a long time on Raw. Paul Bearer leading these white coats, and they're obviously hauling away the Undertaker to the nut house, which is fucking hilarious. And Mark Henry and Chyna busting a move here, and just fantastic job with all of these plants that they had here to get their asses beat was just fucking amazing. Mark Henry tossed that one guy into the side of the bar, which made me pop hard. This dude just launched himself into that wall. So that was great. And the match, obviously, like you guys mentioned, the highlight was the Acolytes. And yeah, JR is acting like we've seen the Acolytes before, and we have not. So yeah, it must have been a debut on Heat or some other show, which is disappointing. And the Jackal as their manager is also very disappointing. But we know that this is going to be a very exciting duo that they've put together, and especially for Farouk, who has just been, his character has been destroyed for several months now, and this is just a fresh paint of coat, if you will.
Yeah.
Well, because I feel like they are one of the early members of the ministry, right?
Yes. Yeah, if I remember correctly, it's The Undertaker, Paul Bearer. They add Midian, then they add Viscera, then the Brood joins.
You have to think that the creation of the Acolytes, you have to think that they already knew they were going in that direction, right?
With the way they look and their outfits. And,
So I guess that means maybe the Jackal was part of the ministry at some point. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
Oof.
I can see him not lasting long.
I blocked that out of my memory if that's the case.
I did remember him being part of their debut, because I remember talking about it back whenever he was still treating the Kurgan as if he was something worth watching. But I forgot that it was coming up here in December of 98, because we talked about it back then also. Yeah, very happy to see our boy Farouk back in a much more comfortable role as a straight-up ass kicker.
Jackal makes me miss the Commandant.
Ugh, yeah.
Wow.
You're right, though. Recon Sniper. So outside, Paul Bearer was waving goodbye to the ambulance as it was pulling away, containing precious cargo, unbeknownst to him. But then we cut to backstage where Austin and Kane were watching it all on a monitor, and I popped for that. Back in the arena, Shane McMahon was announced and then graced the top of the ramp and I lost all interest in this when Shane started addressing Sable and her beginnings, and then introduced Sable, who came out to model WWF Attitude Cologne. And this was legitimately an ad. They put a graphic up on the screen confirming that this was up for sale, and it was an Eau de Toilette knockoff, just like I predicted last week. Shane got a little creepy with Sable. She sprayed him in the face with the bottle. So that was, I don't know, lackluster. It's better than her talking, though. And that took us into our final match of the night. The Rock defeats Al Snow by pinfall in 5 minutes. The Rock came out to a knockoff of the beat from Hypnotized by the Notorious B.I.G. I hated it.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
So out
Why
of
do
place.
they keep on trying to mix up his music?
Yeah, I have no idea. I didn't know they
like
did that.
It's like the third time.
Yeah.
I guess
and every
'cause he's a
time they
heel
just
now.
go back to the old one because it's the best one they have.
This is the first time that they go back to it in the same match. The match got going. Things were fine up until Al missed a backflip off the barrier onto the Rock. I loved the King laughing at him for that. That was great. I also did not care for JR reminding us that the Rock said on Heat last night that he enjoys kissing Vince's ass. I don't know. That's not the Rock for me. I certainly don't mind the Rock being part of the corporation. That fits. That's a heel thing for him to do, and it works for him. But the Rock doesn't kiss anybody's ass, and that's why he's still likable as part of the corporation. Hopefully that changes pretty soon. The match progressed until the ref went down. Al Snow did too, and the Rock gave Head the corporate elbow. The Bossman and Shamrock came out. While Al was distracted, The Rock was able to hit a rock bottom to get the pin and the win. That's when The Rock's real music played for all of 2 bars before getting cut off. Mankind came out, the Job Squad came out, this whole thing turned into a schmoz, and eventually Mankind and The Rock got isolated up at the top of the entryway, and that's where this match ended. Don't worry though, guys, there's still 20 minutes left in this episode, so Joe, what'd you have on our final match and its aftermath?
The final match, I feel like I should dislike it because it's Al Snow in the final match on a Raw. But like you said, there's 20 minutes left, so it's not like it closed out the show. But I will give Al Snow credit here, and actually the credit should go to The Rock because the fans are really behind Al Snow in this match, and it's really because The Rock has so much heat right now, and that's probably why. But at least these two were able to keep this crowd interested, and having the Job Squad, Mankind come out here and get involved is good too, because again, it's helping to build up Mankind and this feud that he's going to have with The Rock and the corporation, and it's just helping lay that foundation of that feud that's going to build later on. That's going to be a long-term feud.
Yeah, I didn't think this was that bad of a match. Snow obviously doesn't have the star power as some of the other people The Rock has went up against, like Stone Cold as of recent. But Joe, I disagree with you about one thing though. You said that the crowd was involved mostly because how much heat The Rock has, but the amount of styrofoam mannequin heads that were being shaked in the crowd, Al Snow has a following. I'm shocked by it myself. I didn't remember this many people in the crowd showing up as Snow fans. So I don't know how long that's going to last, but right now, at least in Baltimore, Maryland, they really seem to like Al Snow. And I thought the point where the corporate elbow got dropped on the mannequin head, I loved that. I think that's just a nice little comedy thing that gets thrown in there that it just kind of warms me in the cockles of my heart. It's just, it makes me laugh and I enjoyed it. The schmoz at the end was fine. That's how a match like this is probably going to end. Unfortunately though, old Sparky came out and still had that platinum blonde mullet, so he stunk up the screen. But all in all, solid enough. But I am glad this isn't how the show ended though.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with what you said about the corporate elbow for Head, because it's the little things like that keep The Rock as that half babyface, half heel character. Like, even though he is the heel, people are pissed off and booing him, and they want to see him go up against Austin. They want Austin to beat him. They're still going to cheer for him. They still pop for him every time, and it's because of little things like that. He keeps it fresh and entertaining every time he's in the ring. All right, guys, like I said, 20 minutes left, so let's get into this last chunk. Backstage, Steve Austin and Kane had gotten a hold of Paul Bearer. That was fun to watch because Paul Bearer was hamming it up perfectly in terror of both of them. After a commercial break, we came back into the arena. Austin and Kane were hauling out Paul Bearer, looking all disheveled, and tossed him into the ring. Austin got on a mic and started ripping Paul a new asshole. Austin repeated the events of the attempted murder last week and then started cracking beers before asking the crowd if they wanted to see Kane kick Paul Bearer's ass. And then Austin changed his mind and asked if Kane wanted to burn Paul Bearer alive. But then stopped things again as Austin pulled a pair of scissors out and was going to impale Paul on them, just like Paul almost did last week. Rather than that, though, they ended up dragging Paul out of the ring and through the backstage area to the sidewalk outside. Kane removed the lid from a manhole cover, and Austin and Kane shoved Paul Bearer headfirst into the sewer, with Kane dropping the cover back on. I was very surprised by the way that turned out. I did not expect headfirst into the sewer to be the punchline to all of that.
Dumped in there.
But then we got some extra attitude, and boy howdy did we get a lot of it. Austin returned to the ring only to get attacked by The Rock. Austin came out on top, started to slam beers, work the corners. Eventually The Rock got back up, dazed. He got another stunner, so that prompted Austin to crack open more beer and work the corners even more. And after that was all said and done, Austin had left. The Rock was left in the ring. The Rock grabbed the microphone to remind everybody that The Rock was still leaving Baltimore as the WWF World Champion. That caused Austin to come right back out and get back on the mic again. This time he offered a beer to The Rock. The Rock accepted it. They clinked cans, and The Rock tried for a clothesline, but Austin saw it coming, ducked, and hit one last stunner before pouring beer all over The Rock and heading up the ramp. Shane McMahon came out. He got a stunner, and The Rock got another stunner.
The fourth.
We eventually faded to black. So just a lot going on in this episode. It all got capped off here. The additional half hour of extra attitude was fine, but a bit excessive in my opinion. So Ryan, what'd you think of the way our show ended tonight?
The first part with Kane and Stone Cold grabbing Paul Bearer and leading him out, this was fantastic. Just the way Stone Cold's berating a blubbering Paul as he pleads for his life. He calls for Jesus to take him home. This was just grade A material out of Paul Bearer and his reaction. Then they lead him outside and toss him in the fucking sewer. Like, I didn't remember that this happened, but I loved it. It was also great to see Kane just manhandle that fucking manhole cover, which those things are not light. They usually take someone with like a pry bar and shit where no, he just fucking grabs it, lifts it up, puts it back on there like it's a fucking cookie. What a fucking beast he is. And really without the extra attitude shit, this is where we fade to black, which I think is a great way to end it.
Yes.
The extra attitude, though, boy, was this long.
Yeah.
We've said before, it's just fan service, and that's exactly what it is. We just had 45 minutes of beer drinking and stunners by Austin. Just repeat. So, it's good enough for what it is. I'm sure the live crowd there loved it and were cheering their fucking ass off, but singing home, it was a bit tedious.
Yeah, the Paul Bearer segment was great. I guess the one nitpicking dickbag thing for that is this, we have Austin and Kane in a friendship angle, which...
Cahoots.
Yeah, which... I don't love, but it appears as though it's going to be a short-term, 1-week thing, and we'll see what happens.
It's a friendship of necessity type of a thing.
But I don't remember this at all, and this was really hilarious. I legitimately did not think that Paul Bearer was going to fit through that manhole.
Me neither.
But man, he just
like
got
a plug.
Tossed right down in there, and that was just so hilarious to me. Head first, like you said, just amazing into a sewer. Just the way they sold it was just so good. And the extra attitude here this week really caught my interest, mainly because of just how long it was, how excessive, like you said. But again, it's for the fans and the live crowd. And The Rock, he's he's actually a really good sport for doing this. This is where he's overselling that stunner, doing that little flip, that little handstand that he does.
Yeah.
Having beer poured on him. Do you guys realize how many guys from back in the day would have been so butthurt by having to do that? Like, they'd still be bitching about it, is all I could think of. The Rock takes like 6 stunners and just gets beer poured all over him, taking one for the team, literally. And it's great. And you could actually see Austin kind of break character, laughing his ass off a little bit a couple of times when they were doing this. So it's fun to see, and it's good for the live crowd.
Yeah, excessive to be sure, but worth it. I mean, if you're there in person, so great. And that's what it's all about.
If I was in that crowd, I would have loved it.
Yeah.
But again, like The Rock doing this, The Rock is not that's not going to work for me, brother type of guy. And that's why he's so great.
Yeah. He knew it was money. There's no better way to keep this fresh in people's minds, because don't forget, we're going into this pay-per-view and it's Austin versus The Undertaker. That's the big story that they're selling for the pay-per-view, and they're diverting from Austin versus The Rock, but The Rock just wants to keep that on the back burner in everybody's minds because they know that that's where the real money's going to come from here in a couple months.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, as I said, we faded to black, so let's take it on over to highlights, lowlights, and our favorite signs. Joe, why don't you take that first?
So many highlights, such a great episode. I have to go with the Mark Henry, D'Lo, and Chyna segments. I just thought that all of those were hilarious and just really put their personalities on display. So that was my highlight of the show. My low light is going to be the Goldust versus Jeff Jarrett match that had the whole blue blazer thing thrown in there. I just thought that they are doing such a shitty job with some of these superstars that they have on the roster, and this was just yet another week of stupid blue blazer shit that no one cares about. My favorite sign, again, there were a few that I really loved and pointed out, but there was an animated D'Lo sign.
I saw that, yes. The wobbly head.
With the wobbly head.
Yeah.
And that was easily my favorite sign of the night.
Complete with chest protector, too.
Yeah. Well, he's injured.
Brave. He's out there wrestling. So I'm falling right in line with you. There were a few highlights I was thinking about. The Mankind versus Big Bossman was a big highlight. The return of Triple H, if you will. That was a big thing, but I had to go with the Mark Henry Chyna spots. Just every time they showed it, it brought a smile to my face, and I thought they did a really great job with that. And my low light, again, right in line with you, this Goldust versus Jeff Jarrett, it was piss poor. And my favorite sign plays off that. All of this sad talk that we have about Owen Hart and the blue blazer, my favorite sign, and this is just a little bit from the heart, was Owen Hart is my hero.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're 3 for 3 for highlights. The date with Mark Henry and Chyna was definitely mine. I'm loving everything about that. And I think, so D'Lo and Chyna are great in it, don't get me wrong, but it revolves so much around Mark Henry. Ryan, you put it perfectly earlier. His personality is just exuding into this role that he's playing. And it is a role, as you said, and it couldn't be better. Just pure joy. It's contagious watching him. I think I mentioned that last week too. He smiles and we all smile with him. He's
hard not to like him.
Yeah, it's I would almost say heartwarming, but there's no sex. So I don't know if it can be heartwarming without sex. But. So I did differ with you guys on my low lights. I ended up being, because I completely forgot about the Blackman thing, to be honest, the blue blazer.
Yeah, that's understandable.
I ended up being a bit of a nitpicking dickbag for my low light. I had to go with just the pace and frenzy of this episode. Just for me, like, especially as a note taker and the way that I do my notes, just this was so rapid fire. The mid-match segments were clusters of like 45 seconds apiece, and it makes it really hard to keep up with what's going on during the episode. I feel like it could have been organized a different way that would have been a little more cohesive. But again, nitpicking dickbag, because the rest of the episode the entire episode is just that good for the most part. My favorite sign, much like you guys, plenty to choose from. I actually had about 5 different options that I ended up scratching out one at a time as I came across an even better one. But I ended up settling on a sign that said, Derek Bachman steals from Target.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Bachman.
Yeah.
Thief.
Well, fuck the rat holding up the sign.
Yeah, that rat fuck, yeah.
Yeah.
It's Baltimore. Ray Lewis probably killed him after.
That's true, yeah. He's probably murdered in cold blood.
That was the alibi that this show was.
I can't believe of all 3 of us, none of us picked Mark Marrow's retirement, career-ending match as our highlight. Yeah,
that's how forgettable he is.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just that we don't believe it. He's not gone. He can't be. I don't believe it.
He still has at least a dick kick or 2 left in him.
He's been gone for a while, really.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of sack remaining in between those legs, and we need to make sure and erase it completely. Joseph, do you have any contemporary wrestling news from on and around November 30th, 1998 for us?
I do. Dave Meltzer is reporting there are some notable WCW wrestlers who have contracts expiring soon that I thought were worth bringing up. One of them is The Giant.
Yeah.
Another one is some guy named Chris Benoit. I've never heard of him. I'm not sure who that is.
That's weird.
Ray Mysterio Jr., Dean Malenko.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho.
Ooh.
And Eddie Guerrero.
It's gonna be great to see all of those guys, but it's gonna be especially surreal to see Jericho. I don't know why, but it just the prospect of seeing Jericho back when he was still good is just surreal.
Still in shape.
What's funny is when he does come over, it's not that exciting for the first several months, really.
Yeah. Y2J.
Yeah. So yeah, that's those were worth bringing up, I think, just because within the next year or so, we're probably going to see most of them switch over to WWF.
One of the first ones is the Big Show, isn't it?
Yes.
He's one of the first.
Yeah, the Giant.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sable was scheduled to do an appearance at Mervin's in Bakersfield. Mervin's is we don't have those and never had those here in Pennsylvania, but they are a department store that used to exist. But she was scheduled to do an appearance at one of those, probably to promote the new Attitude cologne, and the store canceled because they claimed this product was not something they wanted to be associated with.
Oh,
So
it's
that
cologne.
was interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Bunch of uptight dickbags there.
Yeah. Last piece of news here, and I believe Ryan, you may have shared this in our Instagram thread. It's Nash Bridges, a TV show that used to be on in the 90s. They are interested in having Steve Austin do an episode.
He's going to end up doing more than an episode. He's going to be a recurring character on Nash Bridges.
Yeah, and I know you shared one of those clips recently.
Yeah.
So he did
He was
end up
dressed
doing
as
it.
Triple H in that.
Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of these guys are getting more and more TV opportunities here. I've noticed in the past year or so. And that is all this week.
All right. Thank you, Joseph. Illuminating as always. I don't think I ever saw a single episode of Nash Bridges. I know what you're talking about, Cheech Marin, Don Johnson, but
Yeah.
never watched a single episode. Never cared.
It was an entertaining show.
Well, maybe it's on a streaming service that I can watch ad-free one of these days if I get bored. And that's it, folks. we are done with this one. I want to thank you again for joining us. If you like what we're doing here and want to connect with us, you can email us at WRASSLINRAW, just at gmail.com to the end of that to submit questions or comments. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and on every podcast subscription platform. While you're there, don't forget to follow and subscribe to get every episode of Wrasslin Raw coming to you with every release. Give us a 5-star review and tell all of your friends to tune in to the most disastrous Monday Night Raw review podcast on the airwaves. Next time on Wrasslin Raw, we're going to take a look at the Raw that aired on December 7th, 1998, with matches featuring Triple H, the Acolytes, and many more. So, for Joe and Ryan, I'm Jason, and this has been Wrasslin Raw.